I could not necessarily tell if somebody's really being stereotypical, prejudiced, or racism, but I can define it as a microaggression towards me just because of, the factors that I mentioned. Yes.
So what did you study in school?
My major was in biological science, biology. I had a minor in entrepreneurship, so principles of entrepreneurship. That was a 4-year degree, biology and entrepreneurship, and I had a plus 1 year, which was in post-baccalaureate in medical laboratory science.
And we spoke a little bit before we decided to do the podcast today. I know for a fact you're putting all of that education to use. You are doing everything that you set out to do. And by all intents and purposes, as a migrant to this country, you are successful. Like when there's this checklist, right, of when people come to another country of what they want to do, they want to be able to establish themselves somehow. They have to have some sort of a structure. You started with education, and from that, you have built up a job and then a future career, prospects, and finance and everything else. But there's an additional step for you. You have a passion for helping other people. And so we, of course, have to make sure that we are all in good standing before we can really be of benefit to anyone else. And now you're in that position where that's kind of you. What are some of the things, because I feel like I know more about you than my audience does right now. So tell us a little bit about what you've got, all of your fingers into at the moment.
So I guess I would start off by saying, to whom much is given, much is expected. You probably heard that quote before, and I believe that I was given an opportunity to go to school, educate myself, which is formal education. But at the same time, there was a need to actually study how system works. There's a lot of systems. I went through formal education system, which doesn't necessarily show you a way of life, a way of treating people, a way of impacting people. It really guides you through a curriculum based on some theories, but the application is normally based on what you study is lacking. If you're not fortunate to go into a professional field like nursing or medicine or law, where you learn to practice what is being taught in school, for the most part, you're really missing out, and you don't really get the real life experience of, helping people or understanding the meaning of what you do with your education or the knowledge that you gain. So with that being said, I find myself in, biology, which is great. I enjoy studying biology, and I was passionate about studying about how the human body system works, and, how it keeps us alive and how we're able to function, right? At the same time, I wanted to get more out of life. I was seeking for more. How do I make impact in humans' lives? How do I let people feel as though they are welcomed in society and that they are more than what they think they are? Basically, inspiring them to understand their value and the meaning of their existence, helping them to find their purpose, right? And I'm sure by now you could tell biology you don't you don't learn biology to do all these things, but
right.
It was because of my background and the challenges that I faced in life. Yeah, although I was studying biology and, wanted to go to medical school and be in the medical field, as currently I'm doing right now. I'm in a cardiovascular research is what I'm doing right now. That is one thing, to impact people through helping them with their health. But on the other flip side, with the challenges that I went through growing up, really impacted me as a person. I didn't have any guidance in life, so most of the time I found myself being independent and really finding my own path with a purpose without having any sort of guidance or system. So I had to really figure it out, right? I had to really learn how to swim. It's kind of like being thrown in the water and like trying to figure out without any guidance. For the most part, you're really struggling on your own. And
Right.
that has been my life, really trying to go through these challenges most of the time by myself, sometimes really reaching out to people that I believe can help me. So going through that, especially during my teens and growing up in my formative years, not really having the guidance and the resources or somebody, my confidant to really seek for help from. More so somebody that can serve as a mentor or coach or an advisor in life. So I find myself really doing so many different things. And, growing up, I had a FOMO, fear of missing out. So with that, because I didn't have the guidance and somebody to help me to focus on a certain area that can bring me some sort of success, I was just trying to figure out to see what would work for me and what wouldn't, and just to find my passion. So I was really on the path with a purpose without any particular guidance. So that exposed me to a lot. And, with my difficulties, I learned through, fighting through the challenges and the difficulties. And that has contributed to who I am right now. Not necessarily where I want to be, but definitely learning and applying some of the knowledge to get me to the desire of my life. So having that challenging background has really instilled in me the passion to helping people not go through exactly what I went through, especially teenagers, like being in your formative years and transitioning into adulthood. So to really help them to understand the meaning of life and the importance of having a mentor, or importance of really finding your passion so that you can thrive in life. So I felt like life had given me a lot in terms of the opportunities
Right.
and the challenges. All right. So having that and holding on to that, I felt like, hey, I have all these. Why don't I just use that to pay for it? Like, because by now you could tell that I have some resources that I'm using to guide me through life to help me get to where I want to be in terms of the career guidance, career resources, educational services, communication, financial literacy, emotional intelligence, all of these, like counseling and so many different things that I have my hands on that I believe can help a person get to their destination or their desired outcome. So I believe I have been given a lot, first with the challenges, because I didn't get to where I am without the failures and fighting through the challenges to get to where I am right now, which
Right.
again, I'm not where I want to be, but definitely learning through it, pushing past the frustration and going through the process and trusting the process that is going to work for me. But I say that to say I don't necessarily have to get to the peak of things before I start helping people, before I start pulling people up. I have to utilize what I have right now so I can get more, right? Because if you're
Right.
not utilizing what you have, if you don't use it, you lose it. You probably heard that several times. So I stand by that principle that, you don't necessarily have to have everything to get 100% to help. You just got to give and, reach out whenever you can.
Yeah, I love that. And honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why you and I kind of click, right? Because I'm a firm believer in that too, and it's something that I help people with holistically, their holistic health, and that encompasses so many different things. And I see you doing it, and that's what the podcast is for. We bring all this stuff to the surface. And I was telling somebody, I think yesterday actually, or the day before, about how as adults, we look at our lives and it's this gigantic puzzle. And you see all these pieces, and we look at that and we're like, wait a minute, this doesn't even make a picture. Like, we've got all these things in different places, and that's our programming, right? We've got different pieces from our experiences and the things that we're taught and the things that are imprinted on our mind. And then as an adult, it's up to us to reparent ourselves a lot of the time. We got to take apart that puzzle, and we got to start putting it back into a way that makes sense for us. And sometimes those pieces don't fit, and we got to get rid of them. Sometimes we got to craft a new piece and put it where it's supposed to go. And I think that really says a lot about, your struggle and where you've been and where you're going. And I do believe that none of us actually finally get to that destination of, okay, I'm good. I'm done. I have everything I want. I've helped all the people I'm going to help. While we're here on this planet, our mission is always to grow and evolve and to change. We can't do that without interaction. We can't do that without goals. We can't do that without getting to a point where we're a little bit uncomfortable and we want to see some change. And so, we got to just keep it going. We got to keep it moving. And I see that in you. You've taken on a lot of stuff. You're obviously pretty popular. You have over 6,000 people on Instagram. So that means you outwardly can make those connections with people. You're friendly, you're personable. But you also have to have a system in place, like you said. You have to have a network. You have to have people you trust around you. And I see you building all of that up. And before we were on camera, right, you and I were talking, this was actually a phone call we had yesterday, about how passionate you are about putting systems into place. You have the potential